My heart was pounding, my hands shaking as I shoved the phone into my husband's face. "Look at this," I said. The nanny cam footage was horrifying. Our 4-year-old daughter, Emma, was wandering alone toward the backyard pool. In the background, my sister-in-law Lisa lay passed out on the couch. She could have drowned. Mark, while your sister was sleeping off who knows what. At 35, Riley Anderson, never thought I'd be arguing with my husband about something this serious. Mark and I had built what I thought was a perfect life in suburban Boston with our daughter, Emma. When Lisa moved back to town and offered to watch Emma a few days a week, it seemed like the perfect solution to our childcare needs. But soon I started noticing that something wasn't right. "Lisa's going through a tough time," Mark said, running his hands through his hair. "The divorce hit her hard. She probably just took a sleeping pill." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Sleeping pill while watching our daughter. Emma was alone by the pool for 12 minutes before Lisa finally woke up. "And what about the strange men she keeps bringing to our house?" I demanded. Mark's face turned red. "They're probably just friends helping her through a difficult period." "Friends who raid our medicine cabinet?" I shot back. "Friends who leave empty beer cans in the trash." Last week, Emma told me one of them was playing doctor with Lisa in the guest room while she was supposed to be watching her. The nanny cam had been my last resort after weeks of finding evidence of Lisa's inappropriate behavior: empty wine bottles, pills under the couch, strange men's belongings. I knew I needed proof, but what I captured was worse than I imagined. "I want her gone," I said firmly. "No more babysitting, no more keys, no more putting our daughter at risk." Mark shook his head. "She's family, Riley. We can't abandon her. Maybe we can set some ground rules." Ground rules. "She left our 4-year-old alone by a pool." My voice broke as tears streamed down my face. What if Emma had fallen in? "I can't believe you're defending her." After that argument, I started watching the nanny cam footage every night after Mark went to bed. Each clip confirmed my worst fears. Lisa's friend Jake bringing over questionable pills. Emma being left alone in front of the TV for 3 hours. And the final straw, Lisa taking money from my purse. I tried talking to my mother. She might intervene. "Oh, dear," she said, nervously stirring her coffee. "Lisa's always been a bit free-spirited, but she loves Emma. And with the divorce, ... It was the same excuse everyone in Mark's family used. My own sister, Kate, was more direct. "You need to get that woman out of your house," she said. "If Mark won't protect Emma, you have to." This isn't about family loyalty. It's about your daughter's safety. I thought about innocent, trusting Emma. She loved her Aunt Lisa, even though she'd told me things that made my skin crawl. Aunt Lisa's friend gave her special candy that made her sleepy. Emma once said, she don't tell. The next week, I started working from home on Lisa's babysitting days. I installed more cameras and documented everything. The evidence kept piling up: prescription bottles with other people's names, mysterious phone calls, Emma being left alone while Lisa disappeared into the guest room with her friends. My breaking point came during a family dinner. Lisa showed up 2 hours late. clearly under the influence. When Emma ran up to hug her, she stumbled and almost knocked her down. No one said a word. That night, I confronted Mark again. "This has to stop," I pleaded. "She's not just hurting herself. She's putting our daughter in danger." But he just shook his head and muttered something about family sticking together. I realized then that I was on my own. If Mark wouldn't protect our daughter, I would, even if it meant risking my marriage. I started gathering evidence methodically, logging Lisa's behavior, backing up the nanny cam footage, and taking photos of everything suspicious. Kate helped me install motion sensors so I'd know exactly when people came and went. The notifications were endless. Strangers coming and going, Emma being taken out without my permission, mysterious late-night visits. The situation came to a head when Emma developed a mysterious rash. The pediatrician found traces of an unknown medication in her system. When questioned, Emma mentioned that Aunt Lisa had given her special juice to help her take a nap. My blood ran cold. I called a family meeting at my mother-in-law's house. Mark's entire family was there. I connected my laptop to the TV and played a compilation of Lisa's worst moments. Passing out, bringing men into our house, leaving Emma unattended by the pool. "That's private," Lisa screamed, lunging for my laptop. "You had no right to film me." I had every right to protect my daughter. I shot back. Emma's blood work showed traces of sedatives. "Want to explain that?" The room went silent. My mother-in-law started crying. Mark sat there, pale and silent. "It was just Benadryl," Lisa mumbled. "She wouldn't nap." "Try again," I said, pulling out the lab results. "The doctor says it was prescription sedatives." My father-in-law finally spoke up. "Lisa, is this true? You drugged Emma." "I needed her to sleep so I could rest," she said. "Do you know how hard it is watching a kid all day when you're going through a divorce?" I turned to Mark. "I'm done. Either Lisa goes or Emma and I do. Your choice." The silence felt endless. Mark looked between his sister and me, tears in his eyes. But I wasn't backing down. 2 days later, I came home to find Lisa trying to get into our house. Mark had finally changed the locks. When she saw me, she started screaming, "You ruined everything. You turned my whole family against me." Her words were slurred. I stayed in my car and called the police, recording everything on my phone. She picked up one of Emma's garden toys and threw it at my windshield, then her favorite watering can, hurling it across the yard. The police arrived just as she started trying to break a window with a flower pot. They had to physically restrain her. One of the officers found prescription bottles in her purse. My mother-in-law showed up as they put Lisa in the police car. "I'll bail her out," she said, "but she's going straight to rehab this time." Mark came home early. "I should have listened to you months ago," he said, his voice breaking. She's my little sister. I thought I could help her." The aftermath of Lisa's arrest hit Mark's family hard. My mother-in-law checked Lisa into an expensive rehab facility. My father-in-law finally admitted that Lisa had been struggling with addiction since her teens, but the family had always covered it up. The police investigation revealed that the friends Lisa brought to our house were drug dealers. The pills. they'd been sharing were stolen. Emma started having nightmares. During play therapy, she revealed that Aunt Lisa's friends would sometimes stay while she napped and that they told her it was a big girl's secret not to tell Mommy about the special juice. Each revelation felt like a knife in my heart. Mark fell into a deep depression. He blamed himself for putting Emma at risk. He started seeing a therapist. I kept thinking about when we were kids. He told me one night how I was supposed to protect her. I guess I never stopped seeing her as that little girl who needed my protection. The community's reaction was mixed. Some neighbors brought over food and offered support, while others stopped inviting Emma to play dates. My mother-in-law threw herself into research about addiction and enablement, joining support groups and reading every book she could find. Their perfect family facade had cracked, revealing all the rot beneath. But maybe that's what was needed for real healing to begin. I kept thinking about the signs I'd ignored, the way Lisa would get defensive, the strange excuses for Emma's bruises. I promised myself I'd never again doubt my instincts when it came to protecting my child. 6 months later, Lisa completed rehab. My mother-in-law hosted a family dinner to celebrate, expecting everything to go back to normal. We attended, but Emma stayed with Kate. Lisa looked healthy, but she avoided me. "I'd like to see Emma," she said, looking at me directly. I know I messed up, but she's still my niece. Before I could respond, Mark spoke up. "No," he said firmly. "You lost the privilege of being in Emma's life when you put her in danger. That's not something we can just forget because you're sober now." Lisa burst into tears. My mother-in-law started to protest, but Mark cut her off. "Mom, stop. We can support Lisa's recovery without putting my daughter at risk again. Emma's safety comes first." I squeezed his hand under the table, proud of him for finally standing firm. In the car ride home, Mark was quiet. Lisa was talking about her progress. He finally said, and all I could think about was Emma's blood test results. "How do you forgive someone for drugging your child?" "Maybe you don't," I replied. "Maybe some things aren't forgivable." A year passed. Emma started kindergarten, and slowly she forgot the trauma. We installed a better security system and carefully vetted our new babysitter. Holiday gatherings became awkward affairs without Lisa. My mother-in-law constantly updated us on Lisa's progress, but Mark and I stood firm. Lisa's recovery was her journey. It didn't require Emma's participation. We found support in unexpected places. Other parents who dealt with addicted family members reached out. My sister Kate became Emma's favorite aunt. Mark's cousins admitted they had been worried about Lisa for years. Through it all, Mark and I grew stronger. The crisis that could have broken us instead taught us to present a united front and to put our daughter's well-being above everyone else's feelings. We learned that protecting your child sometimes means making difficult, unpopular decisions. At Emma's 6th birthday party, the contrast was stark. Instead of Lisa passed out on the couch, we had responsible adults supervising. Emma was thriving, surrounded by love and appropriate boundaries. My mother-in-law didn't attend. She was visiting Lisa. My father-in-law came alone. Lisa asked about Emma again, he said quietly. "She thinks family reunification would help her recovery." "That's not happening," Mark replied. "I know," my father-in-law said, surprising us both. "I told her the same thing. Her recovery has to be about her, not about getting access to Emma again. Some things can't be undone. That night, looking at a photo of Emma, Mark said, "Sometimes I wonder if we're too hard on Lisa." Then he remembered the pills in Emma's juice cup and the footage of her by the pool. Being sober doesn't erase what happened. You know what they say in Al-Anon? Kate, who had stayed to help clean up, said, "You didn't cause it, you can't control it, and you can't cure it. Lisa's addiction isn't your responsibility. Protecting Emma is." That wisdom stuck with me. We couldn't control Lisa's recovery journey, and we couldn't cure her by sacrificing Emma's safety. The only thing we could control was how we moved forward as a family. My mother-in-law still sends updates, but some doors have to remain closed, some boundaries firm. 3 years after Lisa's meltdown, Emma started 3rd grade for a school project. She drew her family tree with a small note next to Lisa's name. Lives far away because she was sick and made unsafe choices. Her teacher called us concerned but commended our honesty. My father-in-law framed the drawing and hung it in his workshop. "This is our reality," he told my mother. "We can't pretend the past didn't happen." Mark found his own peace through a support group for siblings of addicts. He learned that boundaries aren't punishment and that protecting his child isn't betrayal. Life settled into a new normal. We replaced old traditions that revolved around Lisa with new ones. We rarely checked the cameras. Emma's therapy sessions became less frequent. Our family healed, not by pretending the wound never happened, but by acknowledging it and learning from it. At a family wedding last summer, we ran into Lisa. She kept her distance. My mother-in-law tried to orchestrate a reunion, but Mark shut it down immediately. "Let them make their own choices about family," my father-in-law told her. "Some relatives still call us harsh." They point to Lisa's recovery as proof that people can change and they're right. But change doesn't erase consequences, and forgiveness doesn't require restoration of trust. Emma grew into a confident child who understands that her safety matters more than anyone's feelings. Mark and I learned our own lessons about standing firm together. We discovered that family isn't just about blood. It's about choices, boundaries, and respect. Sometimes protecting the family you've built means stepping back from the family you were born into.